Hello YouTube, this is Stars Honey Tarot. Well, Stars Honey Message Tarot. And I would like for you to like, share, and subscribe, please. So today is a study day. Okay, so I did not prepare on what we're going to discuss yet. This is why I wish I could do a live video. I'm not able to do live video right now because of the type of phone that I have, I'm assuming. So I'm guessing, let's see what we're going to start with today. I've been doing a little studying today. Okay, so let's see what I have here. I hope everyone is doing well. And I would like to talk about, let's see, I don't even know which book I want to read out of today. We were talking about the life path numbers, but I don't want to talk about that today. All right, so let's talk about let's talk about the 10 planets. Okay. You want to talk about the 10 planets? I'm really being led to talk about the Divination today. Okay. So let's talk about Divination. That's how I'm feeling right now. All right. I'm feeling like reading out of the Divination book. Okay. And this book was written by Richard Webster. Okay. I purchased this book at the Alchemist Den. And I have to figure out what alchemist means, because I know it means something. And I don't know what alchemist means. I don't have my speaker on my ear today because I usually wear a headset on my ear. So I'm not really sure what the sound is like right now because I didn't test it. But I have done my video without it and it was pretty okay. So let's hope this video come out sound good. Okay? And so let's just get into it. I must talk about Divination. Okay? And how does the Divination work? So we're going to read how Divination works. Okay? So a number of theories have been put forward about how Divination works. Carl Jung's concept of synchronicity says that two or more events may be actually connected outside the law of cause and effect. These are meaningful coincidences. This means that the action of shuffling a deck of tarot cards somehow influences the particular cards that are dealt, and the person being read for receives the particular cards that are right for him or her at that particular moment. Another theory says that everything is already known, and all you need do is access this library of knowledge and wisdom using your subconscious mind. This library is sometimes referred to as Akashic records. The concept of the Akashic records accepts that the future already exists. However, your life isn't all predetermined. Small changes have little impact, but any major changes you make today will have an effect on your future. Let's suppose, for example, that you've been thinking about buying a particular business. If you decide against buying it, your life will continue in much the same way it already is. If you buy the business, though, your life might change dramatically. If you make a huge success of this new venture, your standard of living will increase, and you'll be able to help all the people you care about. If the business fails, your life will change in other ways, and hopefully you'll learn some important lessons from the experience. Both success and failure will affect your future in different ways. Many people believe that information about the future comes to them through spirits or directly from the ultimate life force. In his essay, Is Everything Determined?, Stephen Hawking, the English physicist and cosmologist, argued that as everything is governed by the physical rules of the universe, life is predetermined. However, we're unable to predict the future by scientific means, as the uncertainty principle makes it impossible for anyone to work out all the equations. The uncertainty principle says that it's impossible to work out the position and speed of a particle, as the more accurately the position is measured, the less accurate the speed would be. Dr. Hawking concludes that as everything is determined, we don't possess free will. He also writes that it might as well not be, because we can never know what is determined. The theory I like best is that we each create our own futures by our thoughts and actions. Everything we do creates energy that not only influences the present, but also extends to the future. People who are optimistic and expect good things to happen usually enjoy happier lives than people who dwell on the negative. Both groups are creating their future by their thoughts and actions. Everything you think and do has the potential to change your future. This is why you can be told something during, say, a tarot card reading on one day and something completely different when you have another reading a week or two later. All forms of divination provide ways for people to bypass their conscious mind and listen to what their subconscious mind are telling them. One of the most fascinating things about divination is that it works. If it didn't, it wouldn't have been discarded and forgotten long ago. The mere fact of its survival shows that divination effectively guides, helps, and comforts people just as much today as it did thousands of years ago. Okay? So that's how divination works, which I like. Our decisions and our actions is what create the present and the future. And you notice they say nothing about the past, because we don't got time to keep looking back about the coulda, woulda, shouldas. Okay? So now the question is divination always accurate? Okay? Divination is accurate, but a number of factors can change the outcome, like our decisions. Obviously, the skill of the diviner is important. I'd much rather have my tarot cards read by someone who has studied them for 20 years than from someone who read a book on the subject last week. However, having said that, every now and again, beginners produce remarkable results. And everyone has to start somewhere. Practice makes perfect. Anyway, sometimes there'll be no response at all. If you're asking a number of questions using a pendulum, you may find that sometimes the pendulum won't move, or it might indicate, I don't want to answer. This doesn't mean the answer is negative. It's more likely that the situation is in a state of flux, and you'll receive an answer if you ask the question again at a later date. I usually accept that I won't receive an answer today, but if you wish, you can ask additional questions about why the pendulum won't give a reply. One common problem is to ask a question that is too vague or long-winded to be answered. Your questions need to be as specific as possible. It's a waste of time to ask, will I be happy? Will I be happy, as it's not specific. At the very least, this question needs a time frame, as it's unrealistic to be happy all the time. Okay? Divinations fail at times, as readers can only see what's going to happen if you stay on the same path you're on. Fortunately, you can change your future. The people you interact with may also change their decisions about certain matters, and this can affect your divination. However, when a divination appears to be incorrect, it always provides information that is useful, helpful, and relevant to the situation. Divinations sometimes include warnings. If your reading said you'll be run over by a bus on a certain day, you'd naturally change what you normally do on that particular day, which means you'd change your future. If I received such a warning, I'd avoid buses as much as possible on that day. I'd use other forms of transport and would keep as far away as possible from any bus I encountered. Because of this, the predictions probably wouldn't occur. However, this doesn't mean the prediction failed, as I'd changed my actions, which changed my destiny. There are difficulties in reading for yourself, as your preconceived ideas will often override the true outcome. I've seen this happen many times with pregnant women. If a pregnant woman already has 3 boys and is desperate for a girl, the pendulum is likely to tell her she's having a daughter, no matter what the unborn baby may be, as that's what she wants to hear. Whenever you have an emotional involvement in the outcome, you should ask someone who is totally impartial to do the reading for you. Another difficulty with reading for yourself is that you might unintentionally misinterpret the answer. This is because you'd be looking for the answer you wanted and might overlook something negative or read it in the wrong way. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there. So we just spoke about how divination works, and is divination accurate? Okay. And now I also want to read something out of the astrology book as well. So what we're going to read out of the astrology book is explanations of the signs. Okay, so let's see what this is going to tell us. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do all 12 signs right now. So let's see. I believe I'm going to do 3 at a time. So let me get a sticky. I'm going to do elements at a time. So that's what I think I'd rather do, if it even goes in elements. So let's see if it goes in elements. Well, I guess I can do it in elements, and I can skip through and I can just remember what element I did. So because the first element I'm looking at is a fire sign, which is Aries, and it is being identified as the ram. Okay, so Aries is the first sign. Okay, I don't know if y'all heard that, but Aries is the first sign in this section, in this chapter of the zodiac. Okay, so I'm gonna write down fire. Okay, and this section talks about the legend behind each sign. Okay, now I'm going to read what it has to say, okay, behind the legend of each sign. Okay, in ancient times, the sky above us was seen as a giant hollow dome rising over a flat earth, much like an inverted teacup resting on a saucer. Later, this vision of the earth and the surrounding sky changed to that of a hollow sphere, like an enormous soap bubble with the globe of the earth in its center. The sun made a journey every year around the edge of the sky bubble. Within the space of 1 year, it made a complete circle. The path of the sun's circle around the earth is known as the ecliptic. This narrow band of the sun's path is the zodiac. The zodiac is a belt circling the earth, 16 degrees wide, and then it has in parentheses 8 degrees above the ecliptic and 8 degrees below the ecliptic. and 360 degrees around. Within this belt are contained the orbits of all the planets in our solar system, except Pluto, which has an extraordinarily wide path. Also, within this belt are stars, which the ancient arranged in patterns called constellations. To the early stargazers, most of these constellations look like animals. So this belt of constellations became known as the zodiac, from the Greek word zodikios, meaning circle of animals. I probably pronounced that wrong, y'all. The zodiac is divided into 12 constellations, so each with a name and each given the shape of an animal or figure. Using these constellations, the ancient astrologers named the 12 astrological signs. The zodiac belt may be imaged. It's imagined in the sense that it is a man-made division of the heavens. But the stars within that belt are real. If you could simultaneously stand at various spots circling our globe, you would be able to see all 12 constellations in the sky at one time. These constellations were known long before Ptolemy anyway categorized them in his textbook, and each constellation has a story handed down through ancient myths. This folklore has become very much a part of our knowledge of each astrological sign. Okay, so Aries, the ram. The first sign of the zodiac is represented by the ram. In mythology, the ram has always been courageous and enterprising, a lively, energetic animal able to bound over obstacles and rocky terrain. The story of the ram begins in ancient Greece with a king named Athamas, who ruled the province of Boeotia. Athamas married a woman called Nephelu, and they had two beautiful children, a son and a daughter they named Fricus and Heli. After a time, Athamas grew tired of Nephelu and deserted her. He took a second wife, Eno, and they had two sons. Eno was a jealous and conniving woman who hated her stepchildren, Fricus and Heli, and set about plotting their deaths. The first thing she did was convince the woman of her country to roast the corn before planting it. This effectively canceled out the crops that year. Famine swept the land. The king sent a messenger to the oracle at Delphi to find out what caused the crop failure. Apparently, it never occurred to him to ask the woman who planted the crops, but this is the sort of oversight of which some modern political leaders are also guilty. Eno managed to bribe the king's messenger to return from Delphi and tell the king that the crops would not grow again until the lives of his children Pyrrhus and Helle were sacrificed to the god Jupiter. The gullible king planned to have his son and daughter killed in order to save his people. A quick shift now to Pyrrhus and Helle, who were tending their sheep. In their flock was a ram with golden fleece. This golden ram had been given to their mother, Nephele, as a present from the god Hermes, which is Mercury. Nephele, getting wind of what evil was afoot, begged the ram to save her children. The ram spoke with the voice of a man to warn Pyrrhus and Helle of their danger, then told them to climb onto his back. Then he flew with them across the sea. Unfortunately, as they were crossing the strait that divides Europe and Asia, Helle grew dizzy and faint and slipped off the ram's back. She fell into the sea and drowned. To this day, the strait into which she fell is named after her, the Hellespont. The Hellespont. Her brother Pyrrhus, however, was carried safely to the land of Colchis. This put an end to the plot of the villainous Eno, though it does not seem to have done much to relieve the famine or to have brought King Athamas to his senses. Rather ungratefully, it would seem, Pyrrhus killed the golden ram as a sacrifice to Jupiter, who in turn placed the ram's likeness among the stars in heaven to honor him for his heroism. Okay, so that's the story of Aries, the ram. Okay, so we have Aries. Leo, the lion, which is also a fire sign. We're doing all fire right now. Explanation for the zodiac signs. And we're beginning with fire signs today. Okay. Leo, 5th sign of the zodiac. So obviously, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. Okay. Leo, 5th sign of the zodiac, is represented by the lion, king of beasts. Traditionally, the mythology of the lion is based on the story of Hercules and the Nemean lion. Hercules was the son of the great god Jupiter and the mortal woman Alcmena. Jupiter's wife, Juno, understandably jealous of Jupiter's numerous love affairs, set herself against Hercules from the time he was a baby. When he was a young man, Hercules was compelled to embark on 12 heroic and desperate undertakings, known as the 12 labors of Hercules. The first labor was to go to the valley of Nemea, and there killed the savage and fearless Nemean lion. The skin of this lion could not be hurt by the weapons of man. Stone, iron, and bronze simply bounced off his pelt. Hercules tried to kill the lion with arrows, but they just fell away from the lion's side. Finally, Hercules wrestled with the lion barehanded. Because he possessed such great strength, he managed to get a grip around the lion's neck and strangle him to death. In the process, the lion bit off Hercules' finger, which by any measure would seem to indicate he got off lightly. After he killed the beast, Hercules skinned the magical pelt. From the skin, Hercules made himself a breastplate, and from the lion's jaw, he formed a helmet. This new armor was to prove very vulnerable during his subsequent labors. The constellation of Leo is said to commemorate the bravery of combat between Hercules and the magnificent Nemean lion. Okay, so that's the history behind the zodiac sign Leo, which is the lion. Okay, and we have one more fire sign, which is Sagittarius, the archer. Okay, Sagittarius, the 9th sign of the zodiac, is depicted as an archer, but the archer is not an ordinary man drawing a bow. He is a centaur, that mythological creature who has half man and half horse. Sagittarius is the only astrological sign to have both a human and animal representation. The constellation of Sagittarius, however, is not just any centaur. It is the great and wise Citron, a son of the Titan god Saturn. So what I also read earlier was that all the planets were identified as gods. Mars, Venus, Earth, the moon, Mercury, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. I don't know if I said them all or not, but the planets. So I didn't read that to y'all yet. I actually read it earlier, and this is the first time I ever knew that. I learned that today, that they actually called the planets gods. But I'm gonna continue, okay? The gods taught Chiron the arts of medicine, hunting, and riding, music, and prophecy. In turn, Chiron himself became a renowned teacher. Among his famous pupils were Achilles, Jason, Castor, and Pollux, and Hercules. One day while the great Hercules was hunting a dangerous boar, he accidentally struck Chiron in the knee with a poisonous shaft. Chiron suffered the agony of dying, but because he was immortal, he could not die. Hercules promised to find death to release him. On his journey, Hercules came across poor Prometheus, chained throughout eternity to a rock where an eagle tore at his liver. The supreme god Jupiter had put a curse on Prometheus. His torture would last until someone of his own free will consented to suffer in his place. The dying Chiron took Prometheus' place. Thus, the curse was fulfilled. Chiron was allowed to die, and Prometheus was set free by Hercules. After Chiron's death, Jupiter rewarded his noble character by placing the heroic centaur among the stars, and he became the constellation Sagittarius. Okay, so that's the history behind the fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, which are the first Aries is the first sign. Leo represented by a fifth sign, and Sagittarius the ninth. So Aries is number 1, Leo is number 5, and Sagittarius is number 9. That's where their placements are in the zodiac, and we just read the history behind the zodiacs of the fire elements. Okay, so I hope everyone got something out of that. I just told you guys, and I meant what I said. What I know, you will know, and that's what we're here together for, is to learn, and I'm learning as well. Okay, so I guess I'll pull a card for y'all just to see what Spirit has for us today. Okay, and God, we thank you. Praise God. All right, Spirit, what is today's message? Please tell us today's message. Thank you, Spirit. What is today's message? I don't know if that was supposed to be, it was sitting up like this. So I don't know. I'll read it both upright and reverse. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the okay, maybe that'll work. Let's see. Maybe I'll put it upside down. Let's see. No, that wasn't no good. All right, so I guess let's see if I can find something here that's going to help us out. All right, that looks a little better. All right, I guess you can't really see. All right, this is the bottom card. We're going to use this as the overall energy. The 8 of Swords. Okay. And I'm going to end this video because I got to use the bathroom. And then we will discuss this in a minute. Thank you.